Welcome back. We're on the home stretch now, and let me get the final word from our guest as we look ahead to the Olympic Games in Tokyo in the second half of the year. I beg your pardon. Alan Fritz is president of Swimming South Africa, and alongside him, I have former Olympic swimmer Karin Prinsloo. Karin, another Olympic dream has been destroyed, and I just can't imagine the pain, the suffering an athlete needs to go through, especially when they look to the people that they need to look for support, but don't give them the support. How are the rest of swimmers in South Africa going to gather the strength, the motivation to believe in a dream that being one of the best in swimming in the country and across the world can still be a reality that you can achieve?
Yes, unfortunately, I think it's just the state of any athlete in South Africa, because you always have to, if you can't make a living out of your sport, it's just a lot of pressure on you, and it forces you to stop. It didn't happen in my case. I was fortunate with parents that had money and that was always able to help me, and I was still in the system when Telkom was a big sponsor, and I never had to pay of my big trips. So I wouldn't say that money was ever, going on trips was ever an issue. Just I couldn't have a 85 job because of my swimming. So I never earned money for my swimming. So eventually I also had to stop to say, well, I have to start earning something in my life, or I have to swim for free. I have to do something. I have to work extra hard, more than business working hours, but then I don't get paid. And I think at the end of the day, most of the swimmers that we have, the best swimmers, I really think that they in a financial position that they're okay to go forward. But obviously, like if you have that motivation, not that you're swimming for money or anything, but if you have financial support, you can go a lot longer, and you can push harder. It would be amazing to see if that can change in the future, and regards to performances as well. But like I said, I think most of the swimmers, money isn't the motivation, which is a good thing. But obviously, at the end of the day, like you said with Wade, he stopped because he didn't have that support, and he couldn't make a living out of his career.
Absolutely, Karin. Mr. Fritz, as you've heard, of course, from the athlete's perspective, Karin just mentioning the fact that she was a little bit more advantaged than the rest of the swimmers. I mean, she was also a Tuck student, so she had the high performance center at her disposal in comparison to other athletes that grew up, for example, in Cape Town, in Port Elizabeth, in KZN, who still need access to these facilities, because when they go to World Championships, they are going to compete against the likes of a USA, a France, and Australia, who are competitive, dominating in the world of swimming. Just what assurance do you have, especially with you being at the forefront of leading the organization, that this will change in the near future? It will not take another 5 or 10 years or another appointment of a president before we can see some tangible change.
Yeah, thank you very much. I just want to say that we have exceptional coaches, and our coaches compared to the best in the world. We have excellent coaches down in Cape Town, Port Elizabeth, in Durban, up in Joburg, the University of Pretoria, and other clubs in our country that produce year on year junior and senior swimmers that are really of outstanding caliber. If you look at when we compete against the best, Karin is 100% right. When we were able to fund, we used to ensure that our top swimmers remain in camp outside the country and compete against the best. If you look at the performance of Swimming South Africa, as I said, over the years, lots of talent, exceptional performance. Sitting at the southern tip of Africa, and you look at our performance, you must say that we're a great swimming nation.
Yes.
We can become great, there's no doubt. And my appeal would be corporate South Africa to really get involved in sport. Swimming has got an extremely clean administration. We are year on year producing our champions. We do believe that a shift in strategy in total sport funding in our country is fundamental to the success. We cannot compete with the likes of Australia in terms of funding. We cannot compete with Europe. We cannot compete with the United Kingdom in terms of funding, nor can we compete with the Americans, who are our main competitors. And that's why we have to find a model to ensure that we attract competition to our country. It is cheaper for those competitive nations to come to our country, and we have to create an environment that we can set up competitions in South Africa. We have the weather, we have some facilities, we have the coaches that can run these clinics for us, and it's income, and those are the things that I think we need to focus on. Firstly, as swimming, but secondly, as a sporting fraternity. I am convinced that our athletes, we do have the talent. I'm really one for driving with the government where sport should go. And secondly, I'm really on a mission to talk to corporate South Africa and ensure that they get involved in personal endorsements for our athletes. It's important because that's where they're going to sustain their living. And secondly, to fund sport, because we cannot compete by ourselves. We have to compete with the best in the world. And that's what's making us a world beater at the moment.
Thank you very much, Mr. Alan Fritz, President of Swim South Africa, and Karin Prinsloo as well, for just her take on Swim in South Africa and just the light at the end of the tunnel for one of the most celebrated sports in our country. I would have loved to hear Karin Prinsloo just speak about whether or not we'd see her back again in the swimming pool, whether as a mentor or a coach, and also for Alan Fritz, who had mentioned that he wants a lot more to change with Swim in South Africa, and also the appointment in 2018 of the SA Swimmers Athletes Committee, which was chaired by Penny Haynes, and of course the developments that came from that 3 years later. All right, that's it for this afternoon's show. Thanks to my guests for coming on as we look ahead to the Olympic Games and the role swimming will play in our team's quest for medals. Join my colleague Murena Mutupi next Saturday as we take a look inside sport.